All right, so this session is going to be on a behind the scenes at Children's Church. What that means is the stuff that may slip through the cracks when you talk about Children's Church, because it's not in front of people, as far as it's not visible. So what happens as far as scheduling? How do we do decorations? How do you do sound effects, lighting, all of the stuff that maybe kind of isn't super visible, yet it's really important. And without it, you really can't have a very effective class. We have several people going to help us. If you don't mind, just stand real quick. We got Sister Kim. She's going to be talking about our decorations. We got Brother Danny. He's our sound tech guy, light guy. We have, wherever she's at, Bree. Are you here, Bree? There she is. She's handing out handouts right now. Bree's going to be talking about our scheduling. And we have a lot more people involved, but they're going to be actively talking today about certain aspects of what we're talking about. So we're going to go over scheduling, how we decide what we're going to teach, how the class time is broken up, what segments, and how we fill each of those segments. We're going to talk about our sound, what software we use to play, sound effects, audio soundtracks, background mood, settings, action songs, all of that. Lighting, what hardware we use and how best to implement that. And our decor, how to decorate effectively and cheaply. These resources that you're handed out here, they actually have links on where you can go, or at least a search term that will get you in the right ballpark. However, if you still have a lot of questions, Brother Danny and my brother Larry know a lot more about the tech side on that stuff, and they will be happy to answer questions. So after, if you have any, they could help dial that in. Or maybe you order it and you can't get it set up. We'd be happy to work you through that process. Well, let's talk about scheduling first. Scheduling, no matter how much time you have, if it's an hour, if it's 2 hours, or maybe you're in one of those settings where you're just keeping pace with the service, you need to take care of every minute that you have. There's no time to waste. If you can't fill your time, maybe you don't have enough material to fill that time, that's a problem you don't typically have when you have other people helping you. In fact, I don't remember the last time we've ever said, wow, we have more time than we can fill. I don't think that's ever happened, quite frankly. I think Sister Sarah would be the first to tell us how we're always off at least 5 to 10 minutes every Sunday in the negative, because we always go over. Always go over. When you really prepare and you're really excited about what you're doing, you always take more time than you think. Even if you record it at home, it's weird. Like you recorded a thing at home, you're like, okay, this took 9 minutes. Live, it always takes 12. I don't understand it. It doesn't make sense. But it happened. When you're having fun and interacting with your kids, you start, things get funny or whatever, and you build on that, and your time just starts to swell. I'm not sure exactly how it happens, but it always does. I'm going to tag on to something that Brother Hodge said. He said you have about 2 minutes for every age. I've actually heard it as 1 minute for every age. And that's the way that we run it. So if you got a 5-year-old, if you're going more than 5 minutes for a 5-year-old, you're going to lose them. Yeah. So we have a class of 5 years old up to 11 years old. So that's quite a range. So we shoot for the middle. So that's why we do 8-minute segments. Everything we do is in chunks of 8, unless it's less. Like a song, we don't force it into 8 minutes if it's a 4-minute song. So it's going to be a 4-minute chunk. I'm going to put the schedule on the screen real quick, and you probably have a printout there as well. But this is what our schedule looks like. I should have had this up sooner, I'm sorry. And Bree's going to help us with this. Can we count to a tree? I'm just going to pull up a random day. Zoom in here a little bit. Okay, so this is just a standard Sunday for us. This is not a special event. It's just like a normal Sunday. And we try to have these 4 weeks out. So we should know in a perfect world, 4 weeks from now, what we're teaching and what everybody is doing. And then and how much time we have accounted for that. And then at the top there, we have our title. So we're doing Heroes of the Bible, Samuel, Lessons Learned from His Life. And these aren't set up. This is actually from April 16th. This is a lesson that we did. And some of the segments that we use, actually, this is all of them. I'm going to list everything that we do on a weekly basis, but we don't do all of these in a single week. but we'll do all of these over the course of time. So, intro to class, the rules, the birthdays, the weekly challenge, our apostolic chant, the action songs, Bible book, bop song, the game, an object lesson, puppet shows, skit, offering, prayer requests, giveaways, memory verse, old apostolic songs, worship song, then our final lesson into our altar call. Now, Bree, can you help us? Like this particular day, we have our creative intro, our weekly challenge giveaway, plan of salvation, Bible book, bop, word shot, the game. Can you tell us how on a weekly basis we come up with what we're doing that Sunday and to keep it fresh so it's not the same routine every Sunday?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's really nice for having this kind of a layout just because it's better to see everything that you're trying to prep for right in front of you than trying to like contain it in your mind. Like, oh, this eventually will work on Sunday. So having a written plan out format is excellent, excellent, excellent. What we try to do is we try to mix it up every week. And for this particular one, I think we did this.
I can switch to another one.
Oh, no, this is fine. So usually once a month we try to get the kids to be more involved in learning their books of the Bible. So this is why on one particular Sunday every month we'll do the Bible book box. So we'll change that out for a segment that we normally do a normal action song for. This is when the kids start to learn their Bible books. And then if they feel like they've memorized them, they can come to the teachers and recite them. And that's when they get a Bible from their teacher, signed and everything like that. So that's one of the cool events that we like to have at least once a month.
To tag on that real quick, we had an active 2 months probably where we tried to teach the Bible book bop song. Our pastor came up and said, I would like the kids to learn the books of the Bible, to be able to say all the books of the Bible through. And the best way in my is always just sing a song with it. It seems to work the best. And so we sang that song every Sunday for a month or two, every Sunday, until the kids knew it. They could sing it every Sunday. But we don't just want them to learn it for 2 months and then forget. So that's why once a month we bring it back, every month, and just we all sing it again. And it's a jamming song too, so we enjoy it.
It also kind of helps them put more value to the Bible, because I know when I first came into Sunday school, we would give any new student or new kid that came into the classroom a Bible. Like, if you're new first day, you get a Bible. But it's kind of one of those things where if they don't really put a lot of value to it, or they don't really earn something, they're like, oh, okay, thank you, and then they like forget it, and then next week they come.
In the classroom, leave it on the bus.
Right, so then we have like a pile of 78 Bibles that are like, they belong to someone, but we don't know who. So this was a really excellent way to kind of get them to earn their Bible and to take more care of it and bring it with them. But with this, what we do is myself and Sister Liz Machuca, we talk over the phone once a month to kind of prep for the next month. So we break up these segments. This is all in Excel, so it's no fancy programming or anything like that, so it's very simple. And we basically have the assignments the same. Now, if there's a special event coming up, or we switch out, again, an action song about the book bop for one Sunday out of the month, and that's perfectly fine.
I'm going to pull up another one just to show them maybe a different one.
Yeah. So this is another example. So we have an action song and then an action 2 song, but the next Sunday we might switch it up just a little bit with a couple of segments. So we don't usually stray too far from the order. It just might be the style might change a little bit. So every month it's pretty much the same, but when we talk, we have all the names cleared. So when we go to scheduling each week, we have another Excel sheet where we basically have a list of all the different segments that we offer, and then we plug in the people who were assigned to them on a certain date. So that way we don't keep scheduling one person for a skit 4 weeks in a row, because that would be exhausting, okay? So we kind of coordinate and plug in from
Do you mind if I pull up that sheet,
yeah,
that other sheet real quick?
This is why I'm important to talk fast, sorry.
Okay, so this, do you want to explain kind of what we're looking at?
Yes. So when I do the schedule, Sister Liz is often telling me like, okay, well, Sarah Trout did the intro and the rules on the 19th. So then that kind of helps me to understand like, okay, well maybe we can put her into a different category. And it just keeps track of what kind of variety different teachers have done for Sunday school, and maybe some other things where maybe they need to we might want to explore a new segment. So maybe if they've done songs and maybe a creative memory verse, but they haven't maybe done more things, then we can use that to kind of stretch their wings a little bit into different segments.
Sorry, I got distracted by something falling.
Oh, I'm sorry, did you want to go back to that?
Yeah, I was like, what is that? What was I going to ask? Oh, is this a schedule that goes out to your teachers? Or do you have a different sort? Is this just for your own?
This is the one that goes out to our teachers, right?
Yes. So the printout that we got.
Oh, okay.
That's
So
what
they
the
know where
teachers-
they're at for the
Yes.
month.
And it's not a printout we give them. It's a Google document. So I don't know if anybody's used Google Sheets, Google
Yeah.
Docs.
Yes.
It's a shared live dynamic sheet, meaning if I change it, everybody sees the change immediately. Because sometimes stuff happens. People show up or don't show up. And the night before, hey, my kid's sick, I can't make it, so we got to change this so everybody can see the change live.
So it's a live process.
And it's the same document all the time, just with different links on the bottom with all the different dates.
Right.
So they can see the next 4 weeks, they can see what they're doing 4 weeks from now, and hopefully spend 4 weeks prepping for that moment.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's good.
So over here, we always make sure that we have the date, make sure the date's updated. We have the theme or the topic that we're teaching that Sunday. Down here, we do Apostolic verse of the month. So every month, we have one verse, which ties into the creative memory verse, that we want to teach the kids during that month. And so hopefully during these different creative ways of
That's what this is.
teaching memory verses, this is the chart that we go off of. Instead of just picking random Bible verses, we have something to kind of go off in order. So they believe there's 12 of these, so we kind of rotate them throughout the year.
I don't know if you're on camera.
She is.
Yeah, you are.
She is.
She is? Never mind,
Well,
but I mean,
you
she's
have
good.
to-
That's what I meant when I said that.
Now you are.
You're going to review it and it's just going to be like this much of your face.
That's
Like
all I
that.
need is
Real quick touch on these memory verses is, again, we coordinated with our pastor. What verses do you want our kids? So this is our one per month, and our pastors handpicked these. Like, these are the ones I want them to know. Again, we want to tie in with his vision on everything we do. So, for in him dwelleth all the fullness of the Godhead bodily. Jesus said, have we been so long time with you? Acts 2:38, Acts 4:12, key doctrinal verses that we want these kids to know. And again, he picked them, and so we're going to teach these same ones, at least for now, every year. Can a kid know a doctrinal verse like this too well?
That hangs on the
I'm all
wall.
for it. Yeah, this is a banner that hangs on our
Do
wall.
you base your lesson off those?
No, we don't. It's tough. So we have a different topic. It'd be great if it tied in perfectly, but we can't if we're doing one verse per month.
I love it.
So that's what this is all about.
So this stays the same throughout the years until it has to be changed?
For now, until the kids learn them too well,
That's
So-
awesome.
which isn't going to
That's
happen.
good.
So the lesson might be on a completely different
Well,
subject.
the lesson here is about Samuel.
But you still
And we
use
learned
those
Acts
as a-
2:38.
You still use those as
Yep.
a memory verse. I love it.
Yeah.
Right.
Everything should tie into your lesson, and it's hard to say that Acts 2:38 can't also be taught from Samuel. So we tie everything back to Acts 2:38 anyway. So if you're creative enough, you can tie them in somehow.
They're just
some way.
fundamental verses.
They're fundamental doctrinal verses. Same way that we do with, we'll get to eventually, but we do an apostolic song, an old apostolic song. Pastor, again, didn't want to lose some of these old apostolic songs. All fly away, all in him. They're core to us apostolic. And instead of getting frustrated because we don't sing them during song service, why don't we teach them to our kids? So we do. We teach them in Sunday school. So again, we met with him. What songs do you care about? And that's the one we posed. I'm sorry. I got
No, that's good. So essentially what we go based off of 2 Excel sheets just to make sure that we have our list of teachers. Another thing though is we do have a separate group chat, we use WhatsApp, that's specifically for time off or dates that our teachers aren't gonna be here, so. We have a group chat for everything. Oh, no.
Oh, yeah, you probably don't want to say something. They're crazy.
So before Sister Liz and I get together, we usually send a message to all the teachers like, hey, let us know what your availability is this month. You know, people are working, if they have plans to be out of town, things like that, just so that we know. But when we can and we don't accidentally put the minutes of it, and they're like, I'm not going to be there, and then we have to do it all over again, and then we put it out and it's a message.
So she just sends it out, who's available when, and then we all respond and say I'm available on these dates, not this date.
Right.
And then she can adjust 4 weeks out.
And then we can keep it all in one spot instead of them texting us or telling us in person. That way we can reference it if we need to ever do a change.
So in addition to the on-stage position that we've been talking about, we also have the off-stage positions that are really important, and people need to know what they're doing and when, and that's what this is. So you want to quickly...
Yeah, so off-stage positions, not just because you're not directly on stage doesn't mean that what you're doing is not important. So for example, we have a check-in station, so that's welcoming the kids on both the bus side when we come and drop off the kids when we're picking them off the bus, and the church side when kids come with their parents. We have 2 different entries for that. So we have a greeting team, and usually...
And we're not doing that to segregate the kids at all. It's just because our buses have a place that they can pull up, and the parents drop off at a different spot because it's convenient for them. So we have 2 entrances. It's a closed campus otherwise. There's the only 2 ways in and out of the place. So we have someone stationed on each one of those. They make it fun, exciting, play music, do decorations, whatever. And when they come in, they get a high five sticker, whatever. And that's what this check-in station. Now the bus station is always manned. We have a team for that. But this one is referring to the church side, where it says anyone question mark. That means help. We don't know. We don't have anybody.
Right.
So is there anybody free? That's what that means.
We also have morning setup. So in case during the week sometimes it gets a little crazy because we have a shared space where we do Sunday school, which is our fellowship hall. So events can happen the week prior, the day prior, anything like that. So sometimes it takes a team and a half to kind of clean it up and get it set up for that Sunday. So this is the team. So like say for example was me.
Does anybody else have a shared space, like where you're sharing where you teach with other departments of the church?
We don't.
Well,
First time.
if you don't share the space, God bless you. That is the most wonderful thing ever.
I'm wrong. We share it with the other church that's there, but it's only for Sunday school for our age is what I'm saying.
I got it. I guess what I was referring to is when you put something in place that it's going to be there when you come back.
No.
Our place, we don't know what's going to be there. We don't know what's been taken. We don't know what condition is going to be in there. Might be stuff smeared on the floor. We don't know.
Right.
So if we showed up Sunday morning without someone doing that, we're in some serious trouble. So this is not a Sunday morning thing. This is
like
Saturday, depending on how bad it is, or Sunday morning, come in early if it's not too bad.
So we rotate that. Oh, you're good. So we're rotating it through the teacher, so that's not one person stuck doing it all the time. The no dead air person, we've kind of changed it up now to where it's now everyone's responsibility. And what the no dead air means is that when you're moving between segments, there might be like a slight pause or a transition for the next person to come in and start teaching their lesson. But we don't want any silence in the room. So usually we would designate an individual to kind of help fill in that gap, like welcoming the next segment. But we
like Brother Hodge was last night in church. Between pieces that may have all practiced on their own but never coordinated the entire thing together, the flow is somewhat missing. So Brother Hodge last night was making sure that things flowed from one to another. He's not inserting himself if he's not needed, but he's always there. And that's what that position is.
No dead air.
Just no dead air. Like they say on the radio, dead air is the death knell. You can never have dead air. Well, it's the same thing in Sunday school. Dead air will be filled by somebody. It just won't be us.
I was going to ask you about the dancing man, but I think that's this guy, right? That's outside.
Yeah, he's the guy out there.
Yeah, that guy.
Now she's not breathing.
We also have an audio and visual tech.
Brother Danny! That's him right now. Like he's doing it full time until he works the bugs out. We just did a massive change in that area, so he is doing that full time. And Brother Danny, thank you. You doing an awesome job. We're gonna play some of the stuff that he's recording. He doesn't even know we're doing this. It is awesome, like really epic. I'm sorry, I didn't even tell him.
We also have a timekeeper, which we desperately needed because, as mentioned before, we would always go so much overtime that it was hard to get the kids into the church that were in church or get them back home on a timely manner. So we have a designated timekeeper that stands in the back and holds up big flashcards with minutes of how many you have left.
Sister Sarah's on here. Sarah, what do you do normally?
So just keep track of the time for each segment and how much time they have left. I'll have a cell phone sitting next to me. They have 8 minutes, and as soon as they have 3 minutes left, we hold up a big flashcard in the back that says +3, +2, +1,
-1.
and then we have a -1, -2, -3. If you got into -3, it's like, get off the stage.
I don't care how good you are. If you got a -3, you are getting daggers thrown at you.
I'm like back there like,
Imagine, seriously, final lesson, you prepped all week for this. You have something and you really feel it's going to be good, and you can see your time disappearing, right? I only got 8 minutes to begin with. Now I got 6. Now I got 5. I got 3 minutes to do my final lesson and expect to have an altar call. So it's really important. And we can't go too far on the we do cheat on the end of it. We're supposed to be done at 11 o'clock, but 11:05, 7, 10, but we can't do it all the time. So anyway, we have a hard deadline. All right. Crowd control?
Yes, so crowd control. What this means is that we sometimes, the teachers, whoever isn't on stage doing an actual lesson, we typically want to encourage them to sit with the kids and kind of help hush and have the kids pay attention to whatever it is the current teacher is teaching. So we have a back half and a front half for both.
Our room is set up pretty much like this, as far as 2 sections, and you just kind of have to estimate where front and half separate. Typically, the more behaved, excited kids are on the front. The easier. The back, oh, that's the rough ones, right? They're back there for a reason. So you got to put your thugs in the back.
That's how we're
Who's our thugs this time? Keith, you're our thug. Yeah, that's good.
Captains are in the back.
The bus captains, Keith, and then Delaney, yes, yes, well deserved. Yes. They bring some rowdy kids, and so if they're in the back, the kids are more likely to listen to them. That's why they're there.
So it's just to kind of help diffuse some, conversations that are happening in the middle of
Conversations, that's a great way to put it.
And then we have weekly cleanup, which basically just ties into the morning setup. So whoever sets up for that morning, if there's trash or anything like that that's misaligned after class is done, they'll just do a quick speed cleanup and then just leave it as it would be prepared for the next Sunday.
Perfect. How about putting people in place in those positions? Now we established the positions. How do you decide who goes where? I know we already talked about that admin schedule and you mix it up.
Yes.
But there's some positions that not everybody wants to do. Maybe you're not an action song person. I'd rather not do that. That's the conversation that they have to have with her, and she's just never going to put you on that if you just absolutely don't want to do it. I would rather everybody be able to do everything. But not everybody wants to, and necessarily not everybody's necessarily good at everything. And so, especially when we get to the final lesson, that's where it comes down to the altar call. So we're not going to put someone that's only been teaching for a week. That's where the rubber meets the road. That's where we're going to see these kids get the Holy Ghost or not. And so we're going to put our more experienced teachers on the end usually. Although we've been seeing, now this is exciting. We have a really good team, and we put someone in the final lesson. We were like, okay, I think they're ready. And we have had several over the last little bit that have killed it. Sister Bree was the most recent. On April 16th, I think it was this week. Yes, it was this week. It was this week. You did the final lesson, right? At Mom's Spot? Yeah. Is that your first time doing the final lesson?
Yeah.
When I say it was good, it wasn't just good, it was phenomenal. It was like all the kids are just captivated sitting there, and then they swarm the altars at the end, and they're praying, crying. And she actually told me, she said, be there for altar call, because you might need to call the altar call. And I said, okay, I'm ready. Well, she didn't need any help. She killed it. So good. And then Sister Leah before that, and then Sarah has had what? Not that you haven't done this for 20 years, but how many kids got the Holy Ghost last couple times at the teams? Two, both times, right? It's just been exciting. Brother Julian always does a great job. But it's exciting to see everyone ultimate goal. That's the ultimate goal. And anyway, it's exciting. Okay, anything else about scheduling?
Other than that, it's really just importance about communication. And I'm still learning about effective communication. I communicate all the time, but effective communication is
Yes, you
that's important to know. But honestly, even having conversations of if it's newer teachers that are in, we, like Brother Philip mentioned, we usually try to put the more experienced teachers on not the tail end of the lesson, but the lessons that take more experience, that kind of help if you have been in the game a little bit longer than if you're just now stepping into it.
Like this mini object lesson number 5 here is a great place. Now Keith and Haiti have been doing it for a long time, but that's a great place for newer teachers. It's in the middle. If it falls flat on its face, not that we expect it to, if it does, who cares?
Yeah.
It's fun. If they do a song and it doesn't take off, it's no big deal. It's no big deal. And so that's where like the middle and the front, you can really kind of load those with maybe the ones that are kind of getting their feet wet. And then near the end is where we typically will have someone that's
I had a question about schedule. I noticed that you said you reach out to see what their availability is. Is that just for that top portion or for the entire
So we'll
roster?
say like, oh, it's basically just tell me what your availability is for the month of April. And they'll be like, I'm here, 3 out of 4 Sundays this month. So
Oh,
then
okay.
we just kind of take an idea of who's in town for a certain week as we build it.
Got it.
And use what teachers we have available.
That makes sense.
just work vacation stuff. It's not.
Yeah, and things happen
Yeah.
too.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So this is weekly, right?
Yes, sir.
So-
Yeah, this is just April 20th.
What's the deadline? Do you guys do it like a month in advance?
4 weeks out.
4 weeks out. You do the whole month.
Yeah, so they'll plan
Four
on
of
the
them.
whole.
Yeah.
And the teachers, all the helpers are filled in at that time, or is there a deadline for that?
It's all filled in at that time based on the availability they gave us.
Yes.
If something changes, it'll be adapted.
But
But
we
yeah.
also, yeah. we
So
will-
you'll know for the next 4 weeks what you're doing.
Mhm.
I love that.
But we also make sure that every Monday we send out that upcoming Sunday's schedule, so that they have that week to prep as well. But they can still go into this main document and look 2 weeks in advance, and still get an
Which
idea.
is
of
something
what
like a reminder.
Mhm. Yes,
That's good.
yes, yes.
So
And
the
then
per-
something comes
The
up.
person filling this out is doing it a month in advance.
Correct.
And while they're going through that, they're filling out the next one, right?
Yes, so they're 4 weeks out. Are you guys doing it at the beginning of the month right now? For the
Yes.
next month?
Mhm.
So I guess by the end of the month, we're not 4 weeks out anymore. So we're only 1 week out there. But at the first, we do it for the whole month.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, or we'll try to get it usually after that last Sunday of the month is when Liz and I will get together and hopefully have it built so that we can send out the new schedule. for
That way they at
following
least have
week.
7 days.
Right, exactly. So we always try to give them that much time.
Yeah, worst case. All right, anything else on schedule? We got a few other things we're gonna cover. All right, but if you want a sample list, we'd be happy to share that with you.
Yes.
Just shoot us an email or something.
Yeah.
Is there an email on any of those handouts we gave?
So it says-
Yeah, Apostolic, send it to us. Yeah, contact us together, I'll send it to you. All right, let's talk about sound. Brother Danny is our sound guy. And we're going to go through a couple things. First of all, sound makes a huge difference.
Yes.
Makes a huge difference. It's really powerful. There have been times in class where the kids are kind of acting up a little bit, and you can just put in just the right background music on top while they're teaching, and it just kind of stops the room. The kids they lock in a little bit. And it happens a lot. So Brother Danny runs our sound. Let's see, so the process is, say people know a week in advance what we're doing, they're going to contact you and say, hey, I need these songs, these sounds. What does that process look like?
Yeah, so most of the time, so I actually, I think it was like 2-3 weeks ago, maybe a little longer, I set up an actual Sunday school email so people can send pictures or sounds or whatever it is they need for me to load up onto the program here. This is more for our sound effects and music. So that's kind of the one we have.
Just set it.
When it's something serious that they're talking about. Last week we did have something like this with Bree. She was talking about Samuel, about picking up the phone when God is calling you, and it just went, and the kids just sat there and responded, and so they would normally text me, or they'll talk to me at Sunday school and say, hey, I need this, can you get it for me really quick? Sure. So I would do that, and I would either we have 2 computers, so we have a setup. It's kind of like a little desk like this with a lid that he built. 2 laptops. So we have one that's nothing but ProPresenter and PowerPoint, and then we have also one that has SoundPlant and our mixing software.
And we'll go over the hardware. We're going to go over the software and hardware.
So on our computer with SoundPlant that has our mixing hardware, this is where we have all our funny, cheerful music. Yeah.
Bad joke.
We have all that kind of stuff just to have people, or just to have it kind of lively in the classes as the sections are going on and people are teaching. So this is, I believe, let's see, So sound plant right now, this is what we use, and it's pretty easy. It's
I
just-
have that on the resource paper. There is a free trial of it that's at no cost. There are restrictions, but I don't remember what they are because we've used the paid version for a while. But it's $60 for a lifetime subscription or a lifetime license, so it's not like. The reason I like it is it's just so easy to use. That's a keyboard, and if it's on a 1, I can hit 1 and play that.
Oh, wow.
If it's on a J, I can hit J and play that. All of this is just really, really simple stuff. And the cool thing is you can get a remote if you're by yourself that has a full QWERTY keyboard on the back. It's on your resources deal. They're like $15. And wherever you're at, you hit that button.
So you can be anywhere in the class.
Anywhere in the room,
That button
and you can play that where you're in the middle of the lesson. Okay, I need my emotional music. Boom, there it is. And you can even turn it up or down in your pocket.
Oh, wow.
So that's just this has been the simplest. There's 1,000 programs that do this exact same thing. There's iPad apps, there's everything. They all work. This is just the simplest I've ever found. You can do stuff like overlay. This is why I like it and other things. So say I'm playing this background track, right? So this is our emotional music, right? But on top of that, I need to layer something else. I can also play that at the same time without interfering with the original file. Well, if you're double clicking on waves, right, and you're playing a background track and then you play a sound effect, it kills the first sound to play the second sound, and that's really frustrating. I can even play that one. Not that you would want to.
Then it just shows you here like what you have coming up next.
You can fade one
what's in the
into
queue
another.
and what's playing at the same time.
Yeah, so
Same thing. Any one you want to select, just select it and you can import the audio.
preset volumes. So like you have one track that someone recorded at crazy loud volumes, the other one's real quiet, and you want them to come in at the same volume, you can preset the volume. I only want this one to play at 60% volume, this one to play at 100% volume, so everything's equalized when you play it in the room. You can have your sound effects at any pre-configured volumes, fade in, fade outs. Like if I do like this, it instantly plays, but if I do shift in that, we have it, oh sorry, this one. I can do shift in that, and it does a slow fade out so kids don't notice that abrupt change. And you can set how long the fades are. It sounds complicated. It's really simple. Like this is as simple a program as you're gonna find.
And a lot of people don't think of it as a necessary thing in Sunday school, but it really adds a lot of I don't know how to detail and texture to whatever you're teaching.
This is our game music.
Yeah, and the kids love it.
Wild, crazy.
Yeah.
When they hear that song, they know it's time to get wild. Let's go have some fun. Whatever. Yeah.
It's our Bible book song. That's our Bible book box. Yes, sir.
Where do you get your stuff from?
The music?
The sounds and music and stuff.
We steal it.
Recording real quick.
That was kind of a joke. No, I have Spotify. I have a subscription to Spotify, but you can't put Spotify into something like this. You need an MP3 to tie into it, right? I can't get that off Spotify. So I go to YouTube. I have a subscription to Spotify, and I download the YouTube file. There's all kinds of YouTube to MP3 converters. You put in the link to the video, and it'll download just the MP3 file, and now you have it forever that you can store in here. Offline, online, bad reception, good reception. You have the file permanently.
And then sound effects. I have a library that I use for my personal things that I do. For it's like 300,000 sound effects that I've actually purchased on myself. I think Sister Sarah kind of mentioned in her class, prosoundeffects.com. They have where you can get a free trial and you can use their library. It's an amazing library that the professionals use in all types of things.
If you don't have any of that, YouTube has every sound effect in the world.
Anything you need.
So if you need a trumpet sound effect like the one we just did, I went to YouTube, I need a trumpet fanfare, downloaded it, got an MP3. Well, it has goofy stuff at the beginning, right? You know, wherever it came from. Soundeffects.com, right? Well, with this, I can cut off that. So if I click on my, like this right here, I only want to play just this piece, right? So I can say I only want that much to play. And you can cut off any of their extraneous goofiness without even going into an audio editing program and deleting it by hand. The file never changed, it's just the playback.
It's just the playback.
I'm always playing that piece of it. So it just allows you a lot of luxury.
But it does add a lot. Like we did the segment with Bree here last week. I'm guessing that's what he was wanting to play.
I have it.
So she came to me last week, and she's like, or the week before her thing, and she was like, Brother Danny, I want to do something really cool with my final object lesson. I said, sure. And she goes, this is my ideas, and we went over ideas, and she goes, I want it like an epic sounding thing, and then I want you to say stuff, and we need to say this, and sound effects. I'm like, okay, I think I can do that. That's easy. And so we did it, and the kids loved it.
Oh, it was amazing. Can I play it real quick? Sure. So we're talking about Samuel. I heard this sound effect, but imagine puppets and lights all choreographed with this. This was incredible.
And in that day you will cry out because your king, whom you have chosen for yourself, but the Lord will not answer you in that day. Into another man, and when these signs have happened to you, do whatever you need to do, for God is with you. What have you done? When I saw that the troops were deserting me, and you didn't come within the appointed days, I thought, the Philistines will now descend on me at Gilgal, and I haven't sought the Lord's favor. So I forced myself to offer the burnt offering. You have done foolishly.
Red lights, red lights.
I have sinned. I have transgressed the Lord's command in your words, because I was afraid of the people, and I obeyed them. Now, therefore, please, forgive my sin and return with me so I can worship the Lord.
That's him.
I will not return with you, for you have rejected the word of the Lord, and the Lord has rejected you from being king over Israel. No, he's with the sheep. Send and get him.
Yes, Father?
Arise, anoint him, for this is he.
Speak, for your servant hears.
I am about to do something in Israel that everyone who hears about it will shudder.
So we played that with puppets. And it was me, her, and Sister Leah that we had puppets just coming out of each segment with the lights going in and out, and the kids were just like
There was not one kid acting out, I promise you. They were absolutely riveted. And it set the stage for her lesson that she went right into and ended it with that altar call. And that's when the kids just swarmed the altar. Now, you can't, kids aren't going to swarm every time you do a cool sound effect.
Yeah.
It has to all be done under the anointing. But it was top notch. Brother Ben,
It-
so good. Bree, thank
that's
you.
one of the things is like sound is very.
And this isn't from 3 years ago. This was what, 2 weeks ago? Yeah, it just happened. I did it. Yeah, it's awesome.
And
A little more on the sound. So to play, we highly recommend a laptop. You can do it from a phone, but a laptop just makes it easier. You can use PC, Mac, any of it works. It's just going to cut out a lot of the nonsense with fiddling with phones and adapters and who has a plug. You guys have the plug. I don't have the plug. You have the Bluetooth. Can you connect to the Bluetooth? It's frustrating. But if you always have one set up, it makes it a whole lot easier. There's Bluetooth aux receivers that you can get. That I have the remote on your resource board. I'm on the resource handout, and then there's other apps you can get as well. I do want to play one more audio though. So maybe you don't have a fancy recording equipment the way Brother Danny has. Maybe you just have a cell phone. Can you do some cool recording with a cell phone? Sister Delaney recorded one on her cell phone alone. We didn't have any clue what she was going to do, and she did this skit of a detective.
The time, not too long ago.
Oh, you did? You already played it? Oh.
Not too far away.
Well, I'll show you.
The case.
What I mean is, I guess they're going to use it for the next segment. Sorry. I had no idea. We coordinate.
Yeah.
but it's sound that the kids listened to as she was
From a
acting
cell
it out.
phone, and they were just as riveted.
Yes.
They loved it. She was just narrating a story, and they're going to talk more about that next segment.
So it's never, sound is to me, I'm a sound person. I love anything audio. So to me, sound is important.
It's a big part of it.
Yes, to me. I mean, I don't know what other people feel, but it's super
We
important.
only got 9 minutes.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm so sorry. Lighting, let's talk about lighting. You can set a stage with lighting, but you have to control your environment. If you have big windows like these where a lot of light comes through, cover that. That's what we do. We have big old thick PVC cloth that we bought that you hang over those, and it blocks all the lights, so no one can, the kids can't see in from the other classes. If they go by, can't distract them, they can't see out, and then light is blocked, so we set the stage with our lights. The sun doesn't do that for us.
And then with that, we have a PC connected to a DMX box. Those you can, what is it, Alibaba? I think it's
It's on your handout as well. I put one on.
Sweetwater. I mean, you can find them cheap anywhere. DMX. We have a little small box. Nothing crazy. And we have lights on the sides of our Sunday school room.
I put this all in your handout so you know that it's not expensive. You can buy a light for $49. That'll do any color in the world. And through a DMX controller, that's just a fancy way of saying from the computer, I can say I want red, and instantly you have red. I want green, I got green. I have green on this light, but I want blue on this light, and I want it pointing to this. Now you have to pre-point them, okay, that all goes there. But the cool thing is, imagine you have 15 of these scenes preset. At any time, we can say, okay, I want the stage center spotlight only. And you just click a button, and every other light in the room turns off except that one. It's just on the puppet show. We don't have to have someone run over and turn off the light switch. You don't have to cover the window real quick. All that's done. If you want to have full lights, there's another one for full lights. It just turns everything up full bright. There's another one, it's like, we call it scary.
Yeah, it's
all dark red. Everything spooks bright.
But it gets the kids focused on what's going on, because they say, oh, lights are changing, what's going on? So they're focused on that, and they get interested in what's going on the stage, whatever the teacher's teaching. So yeah, it's not very difficult. It's pretty cheap to do things. If you want to really do stuff like that, just like, if you have any questions, you can just let me know after.
Yeah, we have a shared space. It's a fellowship hall, and we're able to hang lights still there, and it doesn't interfere with the rest of the functions of the place. We have a drop ceiling with all the cabling's hidden, and it just took work. It just took Brother Danny getting up there, and then we did a lot of figuring out cabling. In fact, where we're at, because we're a shared space, we built, like you said, a cart that all of our computers and stuff are housed in, that we can close and lock and slide it away on wheels into the corner where it gets covered up if they need the room for another purpose. So we're mobile as much as we can. Anything else on sound lighting? Any questions for Brother Danny? Yes.
So, when you guys are at the end of your lesson, do you guys have a schedule on what sound effects that need to be played? Because if like you guys are just going through the thing, like for the, let's say the final lesson and it's about to be altar call, do you know exactly when to click the final playlist at the end, the emotional one?
Yes. So with that, like the other day, Brother Julian had came and said, hey, I need these pictures.
I have it there on audio, video tag. It says connect with song first and final lesson, use your altar call, set up songs on sound plan. Basically, it's a shared responsibility between Brother Danny and the teacher to tell him. They have to communicate ahead of time. If you need a sound effect, don't tell me while you're doing it. I need a trumpet here. It's too late.
And I like to say, okay, what do you need up there? They'll say, okay, I put an email. I need the sound to play when? When do you need it to play? Oh, when I say this word, or when I start talking about this, whatever it is. Yeah. And then that's how and then I just write that down for myself. Okay.
But he does have a lot of leniency too while people are talking to fill in background stuff on the cuff. Okay, so if there's a game, the person doing the game is not communicating. Hey, I need game music here. He just knows. Yeah. If it's a game, I'm going to do fun game music. If it's
it's more
a
like
funny skit or something, like a light skit, we're going to put some light and happy in the background. If it's getting more emotional, we're going to put something a little bit deeper in the back. And he just kind of follows the mood. And if we don't like what it is, we're just going to. We can get his attention. We never have to. But
do you know where you got that Samuel Bible thing from?
I did it.
He recorded it.
He did it all.
Yeah.
That's all his voice. He did it. He recorded
What
himself.
software do you use?
I use Superclass.
It was a really good question.
And for those who don't know, I do Apostolic Family Time Radio. So if you guys are interested in the stories, just let me know.
We have 4 minutes, so we're going to switch to decor. I'm so sorry, Kim. We waited way too long. Decorations. So she did all the decorations for outside, inside the church here, the registration. She's going to talk about how much it costs and how you can do it.
Okay, so if anybody can guess, I will give you $1. How much do you think all of the decor costs? This includes decor and supplies, meaning glue, string. Just guess.
I want my dollar back.
No. 500? No.
I say like 15.
15?
100?
Okay, let's put there's a lot out, you guys need to maybe take a peek out there again, there's a lot going on that arch. The balloon arches, the Mylar balloons, the custom candies.
200? Okay, so no
250.
I got my dollar.
Okay, so everything for decor, for balloons, from we use foam, we use string, we use tape, we use glue, around $300.
That's awesome.
And that included 2 separate spaces. So you guys should have this handout, and I'll just go through it really, really quickly since you have most of it. But why do we decorate in general, right? If you took the other class of like the people puzzle, I always want a reason. I was S. So I'm the heart of it, right? So why do we do it in general? So the Bible tells us in Luke 14:23, and the Lord said unto the servant, go out into the highways and hedges and compel them to come in, that my house may be filled. So you're not doing it just to be silly. You're not doing it just to be like, hey, look how cool we are. No, you're doing it to make them want to come into the house of God in general. So theme, if there is no main theme, which you may not have a theme, just use bright colors. If your Sunday school isn't, maybe you're not on a specific, or how do I decorate in teaching Samuel or Samson, or just use bright colors. Do something that will attract kids' attention, that when they're walking by, they're like, why is there a rainbow outside of that door? So that's what you're doing. So the inside look, you can make anything. How many of you feel like you're super intimidated by making decorations?
I was super intimidated by that out there. Yeah.
This was actually my goal for this year, was to do anything that was probably as big as me, which is not very big, but it's big if it's a prop. It's okay. So the cotton candy, if you guys saw them, there's one outside, there's one on, maybe a couple on the platform, but that is 4 Amazon small boxes taped together. That is your shape, okay? So cotton candy doesn't have a huge shape, it's kind of a general shape, and then once the kids get it, it's a different shape, right? So that wasn't a huge factor in what that shape would be. Now cotton, I actually used pillows and stuffed animals. So I didn't even have to buy that. I used things that I already had around the house. I tried to ask teachers, but nobody had an ex-boyfriend they wanted to get rid of a teddy bear, unfortunately. So I just cut them and I put them in a bag, and you get the cotton and you kind of spread it, right? So another supply would have been the adhesive spray. We stuck it on there, we spray painted it. It's just half of a poster board that we stuck on top and called it a day. And that's your huge prop. It's huge, it's bright, and it's eye-catching, and it's something a little bit different. And it's probably as tall as me. So, and we made smaller ones. So instead of 4 Amazon boxes that got delivered to my door already, okay, see, saving money. I just already used what I had. So materials and costs down the middle, it's a lot cheaper than you think. Pool noodles, $1.25, same price. Spray paint is usually the most expensive thing I will buy. Spray paint if you want a certain color, but you also need like 5 cans of one color, okay? And you can't use like a brush on cotton candy, so you're gonna have to go with the spray paint. Spray foam. Now I put a range in there as well, 4 to 9. The only tip I'll give you about spray foam, that is your huge, if you saw on the platform, your ice cream cone. Okay, so that is 1 box, it's painted, and then I cut strips of cardboard, made a shape, we kind of put paper over it with glue, and then we sprayed it with foam, and it's a little bit more sturdy. But your foam, if you notice, if you go to Home Depot, it will show you the cheaper ones will only expand this big. So you pay a little bit more, but you get a little bit more. So once it's sprayed, it expands probably about, it says 2 to 3 inches. And that just depends on whatever project. So balloon arches. Now there's 2 ways. Balloons, I try to use balloons for absolutely everything. Am I going over? And so I try to use balloons for absolutely everything that we do. They were talking about the bus greeting table. They have a balloon arch every single week. Okay, it's not a specific theme connecting to anything, but it's huge and it's bright and the kids love it, and they can change colors. You can do 2 ways. Amazon is really cheap. You can get a small kit depending on whatever space you're trying to cover at the time, or you can go to a Party City and just grab a huge bag that's $10 for 72 of them, and that just depends on what you're making. Everything else will be in here. I will say for my last tip, if you're using a team, build one of each prop. Okay, if you're leading a team and you're asking for help, build one of each prop, and this way, when you're directing someone else, hey, I need 5 more of these built, here's your example, but also here's my labor that I've also put into it as well. Okay, so especially when you're leading a team. And then the last thing, and then the rest is on here. But talk to friends. This is huge. Talk to friends. Talk to other churches. I have friends here that inspire me above and beyond to just try something, and they'll have tips and tricks because they tried something that either worked or didn't work. But if you have any questions, you can find me.
Awesome. Are there any last questions on anything that we've covered? If not, or if you think of it later, feel free to just catch one of us. We'll be happy to try to share it. All right, thank you guys so much. God
And if
bless
you
you all.
didn't get a handout, we have extra